Welcome to the Refined Strength Podcast. Steve Kuclo, how are you doing today?
I am great. Excited to be on. I know we've went back and forth for a few weeks trying to lock in a time, and now we're here and excited to have a great conversation with you.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for being on. I know just bodybuilders, but just entrepreneurs in general, we're all so busy with everything we have going on. So I appreciate the time you took. So I really have been excited to talk to you just because, there's a lot of listeners who are like current competitors or new competitors or whatever. And you've just had such an interesting and like powerful journey as a person and as a competitor. And I think, you have a lot of wisdom that you can share with people just like in bodybuilding, outside of bodybuilding, business, everything. So I like to start with a question just about who you are. What would you say? What's your answer to just like who are you?
Who is Steve Kuclo? Now, probably most people that don't know me might look at me and be like, well, he looks like a big meathead, potential bodybuilder kind of guy. That's one of the things I always said. I never wanted to be known as just Steve the bodybuilder, but like Steve the human, because we are human, regardless of how famous you are or what you've done in life. Like at the end of the day, everybody kind of walks, generally talks, eats, sleeps the same. There's basic human function, but for me, I like to be known as really Steve the human and Steve the. I mean, you can look at my Instagram profile and the little bio section. It says husband, father, athlete. That stuff kind of comes later, but I'm very much a relationship person. I love my family, my wife, my 1 year old son, and that's always been the foundation of my life. It has allowed me to kind of get through the most difficult times and through the most challenging times in life. But Steve, the athlete, comes with a few accolades of, been in the health and fitness industry for over 20 years competing. Started up as everybody normally does in the NPC in like 2003 was my first show, 2004. And then, here we are 20 plus years later going, not actively competing, but still heavily involved in the industry with, I have my own like bodybuilding show I promote. I do high level wellness and fitness coaching, health. I have my own wellness clinic as well. So like a lot of components in the health and wellness space has been really carried through my whole career. I was a firefighter for 10 years for the city of Dallas. Won the Mr. USA, was a big title, placed top 6 in the Mr. Olympia. I have 5 big pro wins under my belt as a pro bodybuilder. So like on that side, yes, very successful, but also during that time realized that, in the sport of bodybuilding, and this, like you're not handed a 7 or 8 figure check like a lot of other sports are. So you have to figure out, how am I going to make a living out of this? How am I going to maximize my exposure, my popularity, et cetera, and ultimately it leads to like branding of who you are. And I always knew Steve Kuclo is a brand. He is, and I'm talking to myself in the third person, not out of ego, just out of explaining uh, the business component to what fitness and bodybuilding is and can be for people that want to make a career out of it. People ask me all the time, how do I do it? How do I get sponsored, or how do I, make money doing this? Obviously, there's a passion there with being healthy and working out and looking a certain way, so utilizing my body, my likeness. There's ways, and things have changed and evolved actually very fast in the industry with sponsorships and stuff like that. But always looking at it like, hey, I could monetize myself in ways, and was an athlete for and sponsored by companies and got paid that way, paid through competing and winning. And then the other way was having my own businesses. So as an entrepreneur mindset and spirit was within me to didn't want to work a 9 to 5 and then try to do this on the side. I wanted to do something in conjunction with having, pursuing bodybuilding to the highest level and making the most money I can while I do it. And that was, always involved in some form or fashion in the fitness world. I was, partners in a pretty successful clothing company, a fitness apparel company, had my own bodybuilding show. So like as a promoter, a production side, and then obviously like with coaching and stuff like that with health and fitness. So there's always been something in the fitness space, but wanting to have my own business in conjunction with competing at a high level. So in a nutshell, that's Steve Kuclo. I guess more the fitness bodybuilder guy. Yes.
Yeah. How would that answer have been different like 10 years ago?
10 years ago, I was, there
You
was
were
no
retired
baby.
from the fire department at that time, right?
Yeah, yeah, I had just turned pro, still competing, and this was a really cool life lesson. I literally it was like, you know what, like I may perform better under stress because as a and paramedic and working for one of the busiest and largest cities in the United States, like you get your ass kicked when you work. There's 24 hours of hard work, up most all night, like there's not a lot of downtime, not a lot of recovery. There's so stress in general is very high for, and sleep is basically non-existent for 24 hours. So teaching myself to be able to manage stress, manage limited energy, and pushing myself to extreme limits physically, mentally, etc. Like I really learned a lot about myself and how to overcome things and really become better at it. And know I could do almost anything. Like anything I put my mind to, I felt like I could do.
Yeah, it's almost when you leave that behind, you're like, well, I got through the hardest thing that I could possibly get through, like being a well-placing pro and a firefighter actively. Now I'm not doing that anymore. So like what the sky's the limit, basically, right?
Absolutely. And again, like I said, teaching so much about yourself. And I think learning to embrace hard things. And that's like, one of the I'm sure you've competing and understood, like embracing the suck part of the
Mm-hmm.
sport, like embracing the personal challenge. And I tell a lot of people, like, whether it's just getting in shape to lose 50 pounds or 20 pounds or to get abs to go on your vacation, or you want to get on the stage, like you're going to have to suffer a little bit. There's going to have to be sacrifice made, and you're going to have to embrace it because it's part of the journey to, kind of get over that next thing or grow as a person. Like I felt like the most growth I ever had as a person was going through difficult things. It was going through times that were not easy. It was times where money was tight, times that, I had no energy, no sleep, and I still had to show up and be my best. Like that kind of stuff really grew me as a person, and it made me tougher, it made me stronger. The mindset to get under a bar that has 500 or 600 pounds loaded on it and be like, I got to squat this bar. Like most people be like, why are you doing that? But
Yeah.
the crazy mindset that we have, we're like, sure, I'm going to do that because it's going to help me grow. There's a lot of like natural, supernatural correlation between the fitness or being in the gym, like how you could grow externally really can help you grow internally as well. So, 10 years ago, I wasn't a father, still kind of wet behind the ears in life. And I think, I really embrace challenge. And I think through all that, like, I don't go through life with regret. I feel like, I go through things to grow through things. And in life, I feel like I've grown a lot from where I am today. But at the end of the day, Steve Kuclo, the person, like I go back to the beginning of this, the humans never really change. He's still the same guy.
Yeah, you're still the same soul. You just learn and like you add on layers to that person, and like you can appreciate who you were at that time, because who you were at that time,
Yeah,
you right now wouldn't exist without that version of you.
correct.
Why do you think people set difficult goals like starting a business or going pro in bodybuilding, winning a pro show, and at the same time avoid some of those hard things and those challenges?
I think, certain people are goal oriented or need a goal in order to accomplish things. I'm kind of that person. I like having goals, but, in the recent years, I've had to kind of, I've limited my competing and almost, kind of retired in a way, but it's like, a goal is like almost needs to be set every day. Like, okay, not a 3 month goal of getting on stage and shut everything off. Like when you're running your business or kind of wanting to grow something new, it's every single day there's goals. I got to hit this, I got to do this, like, and I think for people, sometimes people that are overly goal oriented, you'll almost compartmentalize, like, or triage certain things in life to say, well, it may be hard or it's just not that important, I don't need to do that, I'm going to push it off. And I noticed myself when I competed, I did that a lot. Like some things I had to address, I just put off till after the shows, and I was like, damn, I got a lot of stuff I got to catch up on now that the show's over, and like I got to do all this stuff that I totally, neglected as during that time. Sometimes being too goal oriented, and bodybuilding in general is a little bit of extreme, and it goes extremes because you go extreme with your body, but also with the way you have to, sacrifice things, and you have to limit things out of your life and become almost a very selfish and like a hermit at times when that's maybe not who you are or want to be, but that's kind of what you have to do during that time.
Yeah. Do you think, did that change at all in just like over your many years of competing in terms of like how you approached that prioritization and becoming less like goal fixated and more just like that daily lifestyle?
Absolutely, absolutely. The more you grow and mature, and I hate being an overly selfish person. I think we all have some kind of selfishness. We all need to take care of ourselves in ways, but especially as you mature, you get married, as you have children, like the focus on yourself completely gets pushed away. My complete attention and everything I do in life is dedicated to my family. Like I bust my butt every day, wake up early every day, do the things I have to do every day for my family. Like there's that's my like new purpose. I think the selfish purpose or the soul driven purpose for growing yourself or as a business, you know, your purpose is that, and you're really drawn into that. Like you have to be all in on that. And I think what those goals teach you is like when you're all in on those goals, you have success. You can't really, I don't think a lot of success comes or the best outcomes come unless you're all in on something. Are you all in on your marriage, or you're all in on your children, or you're all in on your business? Like you can be all in on these things, but when you are, that's when you have success in it. Absolutely.
Yeah, you can be all in on multiple things. You just have to like find a way that works for your life, because how it works for your life is going to be different than how it works for somebody else. And I think a lot of, especially like up and coming bodybuilders, they're still so fixated on that goal. Like, I got to make it to the Olympia. I got to make it to my, my pro debut and win it. And like nothing else matters. But if nothing else matters, then nothing else is really going to matter that much after it's all over. And you never know when it's going to have to be over, right?
Yeah. Yeah. No, absolutely. The book I read by Grover, the one that was the
Relentless
yes,
or
like
winning.
yes, he winning in Limitless. Like he talked about, you know, you're a champion only for that moment, and then it's like you got to get ready for the next thing right after it. Like there's no like, hey, I could sit back and it's all over for me, and I could sail off to the sunset. Like wish that'd be great, but it's not. You literally, the day after it's done, it's back to work to either maintain your title or continue on to the next thing you're going to do in life. And life's a continual journey. And the older I get, the more I realize that. I think we get a little bit fixated in on like fame of some people where it's like, man, they're 30 and retired and they made a ton of money or whatever it is. Like you don't know the true story. And that's not, I mean, that's a very, very small percentage of people in the world that get to do that, whether it was handed down fame or money from family, et cetera. But to me, I just realized like we have to really work our whole life. And I think if you have the opportunity to kind of do what you want to do, and it's not that you don't have to work, like even in marriage is not necessarily hard. It's a lot of work. It is, but I
Yeah.
think a lot of people are afraid of work. And if you're not afraid of work and willing to work hard at things, again, success will come.
Hmm. Yeah. It's not going to be an overnight success, because
No, no.
all that work can't be done in a day, especially
No,
when
and
you're
that's like
looking.
this. I mean, with social media, you can kind of show the journey a lot more now versus what it was back in the day, where it was just magazines. It was like, oh, here's Steve at Olympia in 2010, and here's Steve at Olympia in 2011. Like the next year, like they didn't see all that work; they just saw whether the improvement. Hey, it looks way better this year. Like there's wasn't documented as much as it is now, and can be, which is that's probably the cool part of social media. But obviously, there's a lot of crap and negativity that
Yeah.
comes with social media.
Definitely. And just like it's a highlight reel too. Like you see, like you just said, you see all the good, you see all the fun and the fame and the excitement and the hype, but there's also the keyboard warriors and the haters and the people that will say that, politics got you there or whatever it is that people want to say, that have no idea like really how hard you worked, because they can look at a video or a photo, but they don't really know what that hard work looks and feels like. So going back to the thing you said about like once you reach a high level, it's not like it's over. What was your thought? What was going through your mind the day after you got third at Texas Pro in 2022? Because that was the last show you competed in, right?
Yes, yeah, that was the last show I competed in. I did it in 2021, and I got second to Andrew Jacks that
Mm-hmm.
year. No. I second to Ian that year, and then I got third the following year. You know, anytime I, the competitive side of you always wants to win. You can't go into something with thinking you're going to get third or fifth or 10th place and be like, I'm going to train my ass off to get 10th place or top 10. Like if you want to really be successful, you have to go in there with a mentality like, I'm going in to win, regardless of who shows up, regardless of it. You have to be able to bring your best to the table, and that's what I always focused on. I never tried to focus on other guys or other people as much that I don't have control of. I have control of one thing, and that's myself. And with bodybuilding, it's a very subjective. It's all subjective at the end of the day.
Yeah.
You're hoping that the 5, 6, or 10 people in front of you, however many people are judging, look at you and like your look over another look. I felt I brought a different, more unique look than a lot of other guys that were, say, more just a mass monster or, brought something a little more extreme. I felt I was always more balanced versus other guys. So sometimes I was overlooked because of that, I felt, or that year in particular, I just felt like, not that it was, hey, this is going to be my last show, but I was like, you know what? I'm at a point in my life where it's like, do I still keep my head down and just grind and just be like, I want to be the bodybuilder guy? Or am I going to be like, yeah, I really want to put a focus and emphasis on, I want to go to that next chapter in life. I want to have a family. I want to do some more things outside of just being Steve the bodybuilder. And not that I just was, but like that was where a lot of my time and effort is being put into, and I wanted to really go to that next. And it's hard. That's probably one of the hardest things for an athlete or somebody that's been so consumed with a career for so long, to be able to like put an end to that chapter and start writing the next one. And it's
especially when
scary.
you're up high in that chapter. Like you placed third at the Arnold that year too. That's pretty damn great too. So like you could have kept going, but you have to make that choice, and it's a very like egoless choice that you have to make.
There's a selflessness to it. Like, hey, it's not about me. If I want to really expand my legacy and create new purpose in my life, and that was for me having a family, that was like, well, I have to give this up. I have to close this door in order to open the next.
Yeah.
And I believe, like through prayer and faith, it was that time. Just kind of listening to what God had told me, what it was like, the doors that were opening and closing in my life. It was just, I'm like, okay, now it's going to be time for that next chapter.
All made sense.
Did it scare the shit out of me? Yes. Was it like, I'm going down a road I've never traveled? Am I going into it almost blindfold and not know? And that's scary. I think that's one of the fearful things why people don't like to do uncomfortable things, is because there's a lot of unknown, and then there's a fear with it. I think if you could face your fear and be willing to, at the end of the day, it's not that bad. You just, again, if you're willing to work hard, you'll figure it out. If you got half a brain, you'll figure it out. There's going to be some trial and tough times, but tough times make strong people. And for me, it was like, I know I'm strong. I know God made me strong for a reason, not just to look strong, but be able to get through some things. And then I could take what I've learned and know and be able to help and educate and help some people out. And doing that, I think, and I'm not a big fan of the analogy, but they say that those that can't coach, like, okay, if you can't do that anymore and you know a lot about it, you can start coaching it. And not that I'm a bodybuilder coach. I'm more of a high level executive, like fitness wellness coach, but I'm able to learn, like, all these lessons I've learned in life. I'm able to apply it and help people grow. And that's where I created, Upgraded Human. It was like, create an upgraded version of yourself. What does that take? And I think through every level and chapter of life, are able to do that.
Yeah, I love that. I think bodybuilding is something that teaches us like a very obviously extreme level of discipline, challenging yourself, having extreme predictability in what our body's going to do. And so when you're coaching other people not to step on stage and do the same thing, but just like, just live their life and be healthy and be that upgraded human, it's like, it's almost easy as a bodybuilder to just like, well, you just have to implement these basic things and, believe in yourself along the way, and you're going to upgrade yourself like tenfold if you really want to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
What would you say has been the biggest lesson since having your
biggest lesson for me is time management? And because my time, like realizing that time's the most valuable thing I have. And, if something's going to take my time away from my family, take away from what's my ultimate enjoyment, like my time with them, then it really has to be worth it. not sell yourself short of what your time is valued, and being able to say no to something. I've always was a yes man. Like, oh yeah, I'll do that. Sure. Like, you need me there, I'm there. Like, no problem. And then I'm like, God, I'm all over the place. Let's be a little bit more, like, again, conservative with our time, and more intentional with the time, and then being able to say no to things that are going to waste my.
Yeah. What do you hope to see like your son grow into in terms of like life, or do you have that type of vision for him?
I, to me, I want to equip my son with all the tools he needs to be successful in whatever he wants to do. I don't want to be like, hey, I want him to be the next Steve Kuclo bodybuilder too. Like, if he wants to, that's great, and I'll coach him and I'll help him along the way. And I feel like all these lessons I've learned over time and the things I've done, it's going to allow me to be like, if I had my son at 25 years old compared to having my son at 38 years old, like, the amount of knowledge and wisdom I know in that 12 years, 13-year gap, like, it's night and day what I feel like I'm able to pour into him now. And not like I would be able to. And my wife put up a really cool meme. It was like, having a kid young in the 20s versus having a kid like at 40. What the difference is like having a kid young is you're kind of growing with your kid versus like watching your kid grow and helping him along that way
Really building them.
as older.
Yeah.
Not saying that it's ideal to have a kid older, but at the same time, like, it's cool to be able to help him grow by the experiences I now have.
Yeah, absolutely. I see that a lot, especially like, people who are young parents. Like I coach a lot of pretty young people who
Can you
have
hold on one
kids.
second? I hate to do this, but they're cleaning at the gym and I need to tell them not right now. Hold on.
Go for it. You're good.
All right. I apologize for that.
No, you're good. I was just saying, just I do coach quite a bit of mostly females with like who are young themselves, like in their mid 20s or like late 20s, and they have kids, and they really are just like they're growing up along with their kids. And like my parents are a lot older than like Austin's parents too, like Austin, my boyfriend. And so it's interesting just like learning as we grow up, reflecting on our own childhood and upbringing, like who our parents are as people. And so I agree. I think like when you have a kid when you're older, you do get to have just like a heightened sense of like, I'm actually building this human up to be like a great human instead of just like, I'm just surviving.
And I
I'm
think
just
it's
doing
kind of cool, obviously, knowing the body and health and stuff like that,
yeah.
being able to apply like understanding of nutrition to my son and giving him the right foods and not feed them crap just out of convenience, being able to like really pour my knowledge in that component too into my son is amazing to see. Like, he's just turned 15 months at the time of this recording, and he is like one of the healthiest babies you'll ever see. Never been sick, like just an absolute machine. My wife and I have been sick in the house, never got sick. Like, he's a specimen. And I mean, there's a lot that goes into that, yes, but just to show you, like, if, feeding your body the right nutrition, etc., it does amazing things for
It
your health.
works. It's crazy.
It works.
Yeah, he is an upgraded baby. That's awesome. So, what would you say drove you as an athlete when you were like actively competing versus what drives you now, if that's different at all?
I've had this conversation with people that ask me about, like, hey, would you plan on competing again? What's your plans? I think when early on in competing, it is a little bit kind of ego driven. It's like, I want to win this, I want to get this title, and you want to have that success that comes with your work. It's almost like, the hard work reward, is it worth it kind of thing, and chasing that dream of becoming something or a champion. There's that component. Like, but now I think it would be strictly monetary, because going back to like time, competing and all that takes so much time and effort. But in order for me to do that, it better be worth my time. So it better be like, I would do it from a monetary standpoint now versus maybe an ego slash trophy component earlier in my life. Like,
Yeah,
hey,
because
I
now
got this title.
the trophy does't matter much.
Yeah, that's not going to put food on the table. And yeah, you might win some money with it and some stuff like that. But it's not, there's more time, I guess, in my younger years that I poured into myself versus what I want to do now. So monetarily has to be there.
Yeah. Do you think younger competitors, like say new pros now today, can succeed more or better with better quality with that like time and money motivation, or do they need that competitive trophy, just like accolade drive?
No, there definitely has to be both. And I encourage guys to like, that are like, man, I don't care. I want to live in my sister's basement of her house and just be a bodybuilder and be the next Mr. Olympia. I'm like, bro, like, there's more to life than just that. It's number one. But like, you have to be able to, one, fund it because bodybuilding's not cheap, or fitness and being healthy is not cheap. And two, like, okay, after that, you have to have something to, one, fall back on, or two, be able to survive monetarily. So there's a blend with that, absolutely. And I encourage guys, like, yes, be all in on it, but don't be all in to the point where you drop out of school, live in your parents' basement till your 30s because you want to be a pro bodybuilder, but you don't have the genetics or the money for it, and it's just an uphill battle. Yeah, so yeah, you have to look at the monetary component as well. How do you? And that's what I always did. Like, I felt one of the best role models for me in my up and coming career was Jay Cutler, because he looked at bodybuilding as a business. He was great at branding himself, and he was a great ambassador. So I was like, I want to be a great ambassador. I want to be able to brand myself and always carry myself a certain way. People never saw me really out of shape. I never was like this big, fat, out of shape bodybuilder. Like, I always stayed in relatively good shape because I wanted to look like a bodybuilder at all times. I wanted to,
And be
somebody to be like,
marketable.
damn, that guy, I always, obviously you get stuff like, are you a wrestler? Or are you, like a football player, like people thought, but they recognize that guy is impressive so that's, again, being your own brand.
Yeah. And I think it does open doors for you when you're fit, not even to like just a bodybuilding level, like an elite level bodybuilder, but just in general. When you're more fit, people just look at you differently, and they
Absolutely.
have a different level of trust with you too, I think.
Trust, respect, definitely. Like, you walk into a room, and even if you're trying to sell something, you take an out of shape person and somebody that's in shape, somebody's going to, like you say, trust the person that's in shape more. That's why it's hard to trust doctors when they're telling you to eat a certain way or exercise more or don't smoke, and they're going on their lunch break smoking a cigarette and eating fast food. Like,
Yeah.
so, and they're 30, 40, 50 pounds overweight. So the trust factor does come in, and obviously, like, what you practice what you preach. You're showing that you have the discipline to be able to not only talk about it and do it, but you actually do it.
Yeah, definitely. With going back to what you said about Jay, I definitely like I see that a lot in you, just in the fact that you have this brand, like the Steve Kuclo brand. You have your show, you have your coaching, you have your wellness clinic, you have all of these things, and people just know you as that, not just the bodybuilder. What was there like a turning point where you decided like I really need to go all in on building this brand and not just focus on shows? Like, or did it gradually happen over time?
It definitely, I'd say it kind of evolved over time. It didn't happen overnight. But at the same point, like, I've always worked with coaches. I know the value of having somebody in your corner that could see things from a 30,000 foot lens and be able to kind of give you, maybe point apart some blind spots in your life. And I think a great partner or husband, wife in life can do that for you as well, because they're able to tell you some truths about things that they, like, may not want to hear. And in life, one of the coolest, best books I ever read was called Love Without Conditions. And it was really talking about the lessons of Jesus. And he talks about loving your enemy. Sometimes the enemy, he talks about loving your enemy because your enemy will tell you things about yourself sometimes that you may not want to hear. Like, you're a
You need to hear.
selfish asshole, or you're the most ungenerous person, or lie. They say, well, hey, maybe I am. Like, you don't want to, somebody that loves you probably not going to tell you that because they love you. They don't want to hurt your feelings. So sometimes the enemy is going to tell you that and be like, wow, that's really good. For me, I think, yeah, that the growth of myself has come. I think Jay, like you were kind of saying, Jay being a role model helped me kind of learn to go more focused on Steve, the brand, and then dig deeper into it. Like, and a couple of my recent coaches have said, instead of kind of doing all these things, really hone in on what's going to bring you the most value. And I'm the kind of guy that'll do a million things. I'll put a million things on my plate because I can do it all. And
Yeah.
then you do that, you don't get shit done. You're like, I got all these great ideas and things, and I don't get any of it done. Versus, hey, I want to hone in on a handful of things that I can really pour into, and that's going to bring me the most fruit. And that's what I feel like I've been able to do in the more recent is focusing on.
Yeah. I think when you do that once or twice and it's like a different type of action than maybe past versions of you have done, and you really start to notice the impact and the benefit of like really focusing on one thing or just like a handful of things instead of a million handfuls of things, you just build your capacity. You get to get better and better at handling things, and then you just like you lean more into those things that you get better at, increases your capacity. And so like now you can handle way more things than you could when you're trying to handle too much.
Absolutely, 100%. And I mean, you're a walking testimony of it too, with everything that you're able to do. But you're honing in on the things that you're really good at. And I feel like when you do that, one of the best expressions I ever heard, I feel like now that I carry with me almost every day, is a mile deep versus a mile wide. Like going a mile deep into what you're really good at or doing that you have a passion for, and instead of going this way with like this way, go deep with it, and you're going to have more success in it. And that's true. Like even this year, it's like, not that it was ideal, but like with timing and a lot of other like hotel logistic stuff, that, like I'm putting my show off to next year from this year's show, and I'm about to announce it. But at the same time, like I know it's actually going to be maybe beneficial because it may be one less thing on my plate, and I can focus some more energy on some things that are growing that need more time and energy in it.
Yeah. I mean, and that also like the absence makes the heart grow fonder in a way too. So I think like people really love your show, and your show is a different show than other shows out there because of how well it's run. Like I've been to a lot of Texas shows now that I've lived here in Dallas, and it's definitely built different. And so if you get a whole year now to prepare for the next one without having to deal with one that would maybe not be as good as it always is, that one is going to be that much better. So,
Well, thank
yeah,
you. I appreciate that, and that's the hope.
I'm excited for it. It's going to be good. What have been some, you mentioned like coaches and people in your life. Have you had like a major, other than Jay, like a major mentor that you've actively worked with that has really helped you kind of drop your ego and change some of your ways or make big strides in your life and your business?
Yeah, I've had several along the way. A lot of very close friends of mine that I believe, like you surround yourself with really solid people, that you become the average of that, or you level yourself up. I feel like at the age of about 30 is when I really dug into like having a coach outside of just a fitness bodybuilding coach. I went into having into more like business mentorship groups, like mastermind type groups. I went into some personal coaches. My pastor, Keith Craft, has been a very influential like mentor in my life. Like I actually hired him as my personal coach for a period of time. I've went to his business mastermind groups, and a lot of personal growth comes out of that. A lot of like meeting new people and seeing people that have success that may, I'm like, wow, I admire that person, not maybe from a monetary standpoint, but like I admire that person's marriage, or I admire that person the way they are as a human. And you like see the personality traits or the things they do and how they are. And I'm like, I'm the kind of person that I want to become that. I'm going to emulate that. I want to be better I want to be a better version of myself every day. I want to try to get better. And if you're just looking at yourself in the mirror every day and not doing anything to change it, then nothing's going to change. But I
Yeah.
always feel like I always want to grow and have this hunger for more knowledge and wisdom in certain things and that I'm interested in. And obviously just part of that is being a better person in relationship, like through being a great friend. My mom always said, in order to have great friends, you have to be a great friend. Like too many people expect, hey, how come I don't have any friends, or my friends suck? Well, because maybe you suck and you need to like be a better friend.
Yeah.
And when you're able to do that, you'll realize that you'll attract that in life. And I believe like in being very positive and optimistic about things. That's who I am. I have a very positive outlook, and there's enough negativity out there. Just go turn on the news, and if you want to be depressed, go turn that on and watch it for 30 minutes. You'd be like, this world's about to end, and maybe I should just go jump off a bridge. I don't know, but this is terrible. Versus like maybe shutting that off, getting around some very positive people with like minds that Like you ultimately, if you get in a room with 5 people, you'll become the average of that. And if they all suck, or if they're all successful people in all these areas of life, like marriage and business and fitness, etc., like you combine all that and they're great, like you're going to be great too, just
Yeah.
by
Well, and it's also, I think people kind of get stuck in ruts or patterns and loops of just like, they're only around people that kind of bring them down. And, you have to realize like you're the common denominator. Like, yeah, all of these people might be that way and they're not going anywhere, but you're the one choosing to have them in your life. You're the one choosing to give your energy or your time or your money even to them. And that's on you. Your life and everything about it is on you. So you have to like make the choice. And sometimes it is a really hard choice, distancing yourself from a friend or getting a divorce or, just quitting a job, getting out of a toxic work environment. Those things are hard to do. But if they can make your life better, then like, of course, they're going to be worth it.
Absolutely, 100%. Like, and that's why, the older I get, the less I like being around negative people. The less I will put time and effort into somebody that doesn't want to change or be negative. And I mean, it's easy now to be like, again, when I say like I learned to say no, I'll learn to kind of cut somebody off that's going to be an energy consumer versus energy producer in my life. Not that I need to walk around and like people pat me on the back all the time, but if there's somebody that's constantly like you're pouring into them, like it gets exhausting and you'd be like, that's weighing me down. I'm losing who I am because of this weight that I have to freaking carry for this person all the time. So
Yeah.
recognize that. I encourage people like, if you have a friend that's going through something, that's one thing, and be a friend and encourage them and get them through it. But if they love being in that ick for a long time, like they clearly like being in that ick. So let them be.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like they're almost comforted by whatever it is they're like suffering from, whether it's just like, laziness, not being in the right job, not having a purpose. And because like having a purpose is hard work. And like, because that purpose is going to challenge you over and over again. And especially as you like deepen that purpose, it's going to keep deepening the challenges and making them harder.
For sure. And that's what I think the ultimate purpose provider in life is having children. Yeah, having a purpose of a career and like being, a famous pro bodybuilder or whatever, has success there, or building a business and selling it for millions. Like that's great. But okay, it's like we talked about, when that ends, then what?
Mm-hmm.
The purpose of having children, and then that creates like a legacy, and it completely changes at least the way I do view life, and the way I want to do things moving forward. It's for a much different purpose that's much higher than myself. It's for, like, when you think legacy, it goes beyond just my years on this planet. Like, you're planting your seeds into your son or daughter that then gets carried on to the next generation, if you do it right. Like, I want to be the person in my family that really kind of rewrites the legacy and history of my family. I want to be the person that is not just, I grew up in a very blue collar family that is like great people, but like I wanted more. I want more. I want more for my son. I want him to have higher dreams and aspirations, and than me. I want him to have more success than me. So I'm going to give him the tools I know and pass that on to him. Like, so that creates new purpose in me.
Yeah. And then he'll pass that on too, having you to look up to as well. Having him at 38, did you think about all this stuff, like this legacy building and this passing on and the purpose of having him and having this family when you were like 28?
I think it's in us somewhere, and I think it takes the right person for that to like bring that out of you. And I think the right person, the right spouse, will do that, because you feel this. I believe instinctually it is ingrained in our DNA. And I mean, going even to in the beginning of the Bible, when it talks that God created us to be fruitful, multiply, fill the earth, take dominion, like that means to reproduce ourselves. We don't have reproductive organs just for pleasure. Like, it's meant to ultimately like procreate, create another version of yourself. I mean, when I see my son, I'm like, I see my little mini in front of me. I hold him and I'm like, it's the coolest thing ever. And maybe being young and immature in early 20s may not be the best time. If you feel like it's not, then maybe wait a little bit. But I believe that we're all called to do this. And and okay, there may be extreme circumstances where maybe not, but for the most part, being able to have this, like, create legacy for yourself was, and I mentioned Keith Craft earlier. He had kind of was the one that really planted that seed in my mind to start thinking about that on a different level, like thinking legacy and outside of just what I'm able to do, but creating that for the next generation. Then I like, why am I doing all this? Why do I bust my butt every day? Why do I try to, I've killed myself for 20 years getting on stage and having this success for it to die when I die versus like taking all that and pouring it into my son. Now it's a whole different purpose. And I think people that lack purpose, not that you need to just go out and have a kid with some random person, but get your shit together, find the right person in your life, have a kid, and you will see your life like flourish. Like it's amazing what truly can happen.
What made you realize that Michelle was the right person for you?
She provided peace for me, and that's like that is a very special thing. She brings a lot of peace in my life. I think in this crazy world, all this noise and like go go go, and she just was like she was this kind of rock that was very peaceful in my life. And people that meet her, like they're always like she's like there's this aura about her that brings it's very special, and I noticed that right away with her. And then she was also a mom prior to us being married, so it was like seeing her be the mother she was, and like that was very special too. And I never personally thought I would be with somebody with kids before I ever was married to her, but then I saw that and I was like, that's somebody I want to have a family with. Like it just knew, like it was like freaking magnets just coming together, and there was no separating it. And I was like, then this is it. And, here we are, like spent almost 20 years competing, and like I said, beating the crap out of my body, and the likelihood was probably very low initially, but the right person, like God made some things happen, and no fertility doctors. There was none of that involved. And here she's 44 having a baby, which is incredible too.
Damn, I did not know she was 44.
No, I know. That's
Crazy.
where,
Wow. Yeah. Yeah, you guys did a good job. It just was meant to happen.
yeah. I mean, that's why, and I am literally like thankful, thanking God every day for what I have today, because of that alignment with my wife, my son. Just I had a conversation with Greg McCoy today in the gym. We were talking about, a friend of his is really trying to understand the faith component of life and kind of caught in this, like, you know, does God exist? Does God not exist? And all that. And I said, there's two things ultimately I believe that we desire as humans or need essential in life. And I think it's love by, that's relationship and people that love you and want to be around those people, and your health. And I think you take somebody that's ultimate rich, the richest person in the world, and they're on their deathbed. What are they going to want? The people that they want their health back, and they want the people that love them around them. And I said, I've known a lot of really wealthy people that are very miserable in life, don't have anybody that they're able to enjoy life with, or their health is terrible. Like, you really can't buy that. It's something that has to be done like internally or really want that. So kind of a tangent there, but I felt like
No, yeah, it's
that
good.
was, I feel like those two things, if you're able to have in life, you're truly wealthy.
Yeah, and I think also like when you have love and you have health, like that just frees you up to have more wealth. Like health is wealth truly, and if you're healthy, your mind is clearer, you can handle more things, you're not as stressed. And so if all of those things are happening, then your body is going to be more responsive. And like your mind is going to be able to like achieve more. And then same thing when you have love in your life from significant others, friends, family, whatever, that's also going to like allow you to do everything you want to do. Like a solid partnership that's truly aligned, like, you're the most successful that you probably never thought you would be. And like, but look at how you have your health and you have love in your life. That's not a coincidence.
Right. Very true. Love that.
What would be your biggest, most important piece of advice that you would give to a new competitor right now, or a new pro?
I would say I tell a lot of people this: new competitor, even new pro, like, is find or educate yourself. Number one is important, like understanding how certain things work. Because if you're working with somebody like a coach that doesn't know what they're doing, to say, throw some red flags up and be like, I don't think this is right. And if you question it, like, immediately, like, because the potential to truly get hurt or hurt yourself, whether it's chemically castrate yourself, let's just be honest, like for men or women, abusing hormones, that's frequently done in this sport. You need to have some kind of knowledge or understanding of that. Just don't blindly do things. So with that means, I'm going to say, like, vet or question a coach. If you're going to want to work with somebody, like, vet that person out, talk to other people that have worked with them, and figure out, like, just because somebody posts a picture and looks really good doesn't necessarily mean they know what they're doing. Doesn't necessarily mean
They
that
just know how to follow directions.
yeah, it means that they have some structure, but they may be freaking drug addicts in life. Like, I'm just using an example. Like, it's important to, for your own health, to, like I said, educate yourself, but find somebody that you trust, that you feel is knowledgeable, vet them, ask them questions, ask them what kind of education or experience do they have. I don't necessarily mean just like, if somebody can read a book and get a degree, doesn't necessarily mean they have actual, like I call, clinical knowledge or understanding. I think real life experiences far exceeds normal, just like maybe somebody that could read a book and understand a concept.
Yeah,
being able to apply things and see how the real world works versus like what a textbook is two different things.
Definitely.
So that'd be my advice there for sure.
That's great advice. So what are you working on currently? I know you have your clinic, your coaching, you have your show that's being put off.
That's pretty much, I'm not trying to overload my plate with all this stuff, but really hone in on that. So with the clinic and the wellness, like, they're kind of hybrid. They work together. A lot of my clients that want to work exclusively with me, where it's kind of a concierge, like you get beyond just maybe a personal training or like a health, you get all of it encompassed when you work directly with me. So, and that's like a very limited access. And then, but like, so I kind of, people that just want more general per se, I'm able to put into the clinic, this sphere of like health, and they want to get like blood work done or whatever it is. So I'm able to kind of do dual, like if somebody really wants to work closely with me and have like coaching directly with me, I'm able to do that. But for 90% of the people in the world that want like kind of access to me and my knowledge and what we know with our clinic, and my partner who's a naturopath doctor who's amazing with hormones and female health and all that. So we got like male and female covered, and even like children. So we're really pouring a lot into the upgraded human wellness side, which is, I mean, we do some really amazing things with helping people get their health dialed in from more a naturopath, functional, holistic side, where it's not like the conventional medicine route, where it's like, hey, you're feeling sluggish, let's get you on some thyroid medication and some hormones. And it's like, how is being on medication the rest of my life healthy? Like, let's get your body healthy, rebalanced by treating some root cause issues of what's going on. Like, there's an issue. Why are you having low energy? Why is your libido in the dirt? Why are these things? And let's fix why it's causing you to have that symptom. So we go to more root cause with people, and with the clinic, like, we're able to go. We help people from all ages. We help people, like I said, naturally, but we even have components to where we can help people with regen medications or medicine as well. Like with the new advances in bioscience, like we have access to a lot of the exosome stem cell type stuff. We have access to, like cutting edge science when it comes to DNA and genetic testing, and so many cool things now that there's like more. It's like health and wellness knowledge and the capacity to kind of understand the human body and test for certain things is just going so fast and expanding so fast. We're able to do all of it, but more from a real personal component, not just being plugged in as a number and like you're talking to some random person that really doesn't know. They're just reading off the Excel doc that they got from ChatGPT. Like, you're getting our real human component when you work with us, which is, I think people really love.
Cool. How long has that been like functioning and working?
We're going into our second year. Like I said, through experience, a lot of schooling has been involved, but my partner's been involved and had his own clinic for almost 20 years as a naturopath. doctor and female hormone practitioner. Like, he's amazing. And then I went and got my functional medicine practitioner licensing and all that. So took my experience and his experience. We kind of combined forces. And then that was where we created the upgraded human wellness side of things. So it's, and just like, I was, like I said, a firefighter for 10 years and working in emergency health for a long time. And one of the most rewarding things you get is like somebody telling you thank you, you help them. And it's the same thing you get as rewarded as, being able to help somebody regain their health or get off a medication or lose weight or all that. And them saying, thank you, you've really helped me. I can't, wouldn't have been able to do this without you. Like, that's a win in our category. Now, like, I love getting that. Like, that's what kind of drives us in what we do now.
Yeah. How do people like get started with that? How do people reach out and learn more about it?
We have our website, just upgradedhuman.com. A lot of people reach out to me directly on social media asking questions, and then I'm able to really, kind of direct them. But what's cool is we sit down with each person, typically on a Zoom call or phone call, and we kind of walk through what's going on, really kind of understand the person as a person, not just like, hey, here you are, just another person. We're going to get you
Here's
on,
your blood work.
I'm going to get you on some HRT because we're just cranking 100 of these a day and making a ton of money. Like, no, we really spend our time with our people, give them custom, programs based on whatever is going on or whatever we test for. And so to me, it's like next level healthcare. It's really what healthcare should be versus like what more normal is, just like sick care. Oh, you're sick, you have a symptom, here's a pill. Like, that's not getting people healthy. That's just covering symptoms. What we want to do ultimately is try to get people healthy. So yeah, the downside, it's not covered by insurance. Now, like, HSA stuff does cover a lot of the testings and whatnot, but because again, we get people healthy. You're not going to have to be stuck on a medication the rest of your life. I've seen people's cholesterol change in 60 to 90 days by doing the right things versus having to be on a cholesterol pill the rest of your life. Like,
yeah,
there's better ways to do things. And I think more people are understanding that, especially post COVID. People are a lot more aware of, hey, I want to get my body healthy naturally. I don't want to have to take a bunch of shots, and I don't want to
they're
have to
aware of the flaws of that system.
Yeah,
And even like
absolutely.
the insurance side of things too. That's deeply flawed too.
100%. So like, that's where, having that really person to person thing, like, that's what will always keep like this business in like open, because there's that human component versus like AI can never replace that.
Definitely not.
You can type in things and it can give you some answers, but it's not going to have that human component. And I think that's what really allows this to be a growing field, even in the information age that we're in, the technology age.
Yeah, definitely. What is your like end all be all vision with this?
I'd love to just continue to grow it. I'd love to create a practice. We bring on more and more like practitioners underneath us. We coach them, we teach them how we like to do things, and just continue to help more and more people, and giving them the right tools and the right protocols, et cetera, to really get their body healthy. That's been our kind of mission moving forward. And I just see it growing to a pretty large scale. So I'm excited about it. Like, it's growing at a great pace right now. The amount of people that are coming to us just via referral, because they're saying, you helped me so much, I need my husband to get this. I need my friend needs this. And it's like, this referral system that's just feeding us right now. And we haven't even really got dug into like marketing outside of that. So it's exciting to be able to grow, anything you grow that you put, it's like your baby in a way. Like, your business can be your baby too, but to grow it and see it grow in the right direction is exciting.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for all of your time. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, I appreciate you. Thank you for having me on. I think what you're doing, the message, the good information, and I think that's what people need. Is there's a lot of crap and garbage information out there, and to find the right information sources, to not believe everything you see online, especially with AI, that it's crazy what they can alter or change, or spit out. And so be very cautious in that aspect. With even like, it's crazy. I got some clients that are single guys. It's a total sidetrack, but they're sending me like, this girl's talking to me, and I'm like, that's a fake AI account. Like, you're getting catfished by an AI account, bro. Like,
Oh my God.
so yeah, I mean, it's crazy out there, but just surround yourself with the right people. Work hard in life, be positive, good things will happen. Hard work works. It really does. And that's what bodybuilding, if anything, teaches you, that hard work will work. But it's sometimes working smarter, not harder in things. Sometimes you can go too far in one direction. So creating some balance. And ultimately, like, that was my thing is, instead of being really good in one area of life, and if you upgrade all the areas of your life, you can become an upgraded human. And that's where that came from. So
I
that
love
was
it.
my story.
Well,
Thank
thank
you
you
for
for
having me.
sharing it. I'm excited for everyone to listen to this. All of the information for Steve and Upgraded Human and all of the things will be down in the show notes. So check it out and upgrade yourself. And thanks for listening.
Appreciate you. Thank you.